Welcome back to another episode of Real People, Real Stories. We are back after a while. I know you guys have missed us, but today in front of us, we have a very special guest who I'll let them introduce themselves, tell us who they are, tell us their name and what they do.
My name is Obiero Paul. I am currently, or many people call me Obi. So if you don't know, I'm called Obiero Paul. Full names. Currently, I work at Nairobi Baptist Church as a pastor.
Obi, have you seen any of these Real People, Real Stories? What do you think about them so far?
I think they're interesting. Being able to just see people's lives and seeing how God works. I think it helps someone who's a bit younger than me. When you hear of someone's life who you just see, sometimes you see someone and you think they have life all sorted out, or you think they are struggling so much, but being able to see the different journeys is very interesting, but also very encouraging in terms of just gearing you on to continue pushing.
Maybe we'll start by what is your earliest memory when you remember what is the first thing you remember as a child?
It's very scattered. Maybe to begin, I was born in Nairobi, but then spent 8 months to a year in Shags. So my Shags is in Siaya. So in Shags, I remember there's a time my mom used to carry me to go farming. So I guess that's the earliest memory we had. But the reason we were taken to Shags is because my dad was not stable. And so we couldn't stay in Nairobi as a whole family. So he sent us to Shags is up country. So he sent us there, me and my mom. I'm the firstborn. So we stayed there for 8 to 1 year. So interestingly, my first language was Luo because I spent a lot of time there. Then now, when he got a stable job, he moved into Kibra, in the slums, and now we came with my mom. So I remember much about Kibra because that's the first place I grew up.
Where was your dad before he moved to Kibra?
He was in Nairobi, I think. And
I'm not sure.
He was in Kibra. He was living in Kibra, but living with the brother. So like after now we were sent back is now when what I can remember. Maybe there are some he might be able to explain better.
Okay, so when you now moved from Shags with your mom back to Nairobi in Kibra, how was that experience for you?
You were young, so maybe I was a year 8 months. It was the experience of being young. I think then is when I realized I love music, but I remember my earliest memories were just of music. So there used to be some small. There were radios, but also cassette players. The younger ones would not know what a cassette player is. So it used to have a battery or a power cable. So I remember we had a small grey one that my mom is from Tanzania. So she used to play a lot of Tanzanian coastal music, tarab. My dad used to play a lot of reggae and Luo inspired music. So my earliest memories were either listening to tarab or listening to a reggae song by his favorite artist, Lucky Dube Culture and Ensam Bob Marley. So those were the earliest memories, but also just seeing the space we existed in. So there are things I was noticing by then. So I noticed some of the things I used to notice is like we didn't have a TV. So we had a neighbor of ours who used to run a shop and they had a TV. So if we wanted to see a TV, we used to go to his place to watch. But it wasn't significant, but it was something I noticed that was different in how we used to live than how they used to live. Another thing I noticed, I struggled really much with the beginning part of school. As I continue, I struggled in some spaces of school a lot. Because first, I mentioned that my first language was Luo. And I'm in Nairobi. People don't speak Luo. So getting Swahili was very difficult for me. But secondly, I was so used to being with my mom and dad. So now I went to school a bit earlier. So when I was 3 years old, I started school.
Did you go to school in Kibera or where?
Yeah. So it was a school called Neighborhood, my first school. So my parents took me because I felt like they wanted me to like learn Swahili or like to be able to communicate. But it was hard because it's very communal. So it means a lot of the people who go there know each other in a way. And the way Kibera looks like back then, there were like estates, then there was the slum. So most of the people who I went to nursery with were from the estate. So perhaps they grew up together, and me, I'm a stranger. So it was difficult making friendships. The school was Happy Kids, the first school. So it was difficult making friendships, and I just wanted to go back home to my parents. So I really struggled with that first portion of school.
Were you close with your mom at that point?
Yeah. You're young. You're the only people you know are your family, my mom and dad. So I did 1 year in Happy Kids. Then I moved to another school called Neighborhood. So when I was moving to Neighborhood, my bro who followed me was born. So that move came also with moving out from the slum into the estate. So now that was a different experience because now you're moving from a mudded house to like a house with stones. So it's still one room, but it's very different than what you've experienced.
Maybe for somebody who's not been in a slum, maybe explain to us the difference. You're saying even in the slum in Kibera, there are levels.
Yeah.
So maybe just expound on that a little bit.
So you see in Kibera, as I was saying, if you're not there, you'd assume the whole place is a slum, but it's not a slum. So there's the slum and there's estates. So you'll find an estate called Ayani Estate. There's an estate called Olympic Estate. There's another one called Karanja. You can find some part of Fort Jesus that's over there. So the estates have buildings that are permanent. By permanent, I mean made of stone, and it's what you'd call a gated community because they are divided into blocks. There are proper housing, proper water systems. You'd have, they say, you had toilets in your house. So there's proper development, planned development in comparison to the slums. So we moved from the slums now into now the estate. It's called Ayani Estate, and that was different because now it was a one-roomed house, but it was different. It was a bigger house. It had electricity. Now we had a TV, small one, but we had a TV. So our experience of life is now way different than what we used to have. But also now we are two in the household. So I think having a brother changed much of how I used to see life. Because when you're the only child, everything is all about you. And now having a brother, I feel now attention seemed to shift. So it was a balancing. It's like you care for your brother and you care for yourself.
How many years apart are you?
4 years.
4 years.
It's 4 years, yeah.
Okay, that's so you grew up quickly then.
Yeah.
So just maybe to focus on, I want to understand a little bit about, so now you have electricity, you have, so in the Kibera slum area, is there electricity? Is there like water? How is the living condition there in the slum area?
There is electricity, but water you buy. So there's no water running in your house. So there's even if you go now, there are like particular places where you bring your jerry can to fetch water at a price. So there are specific people who sell water. So water there was bought. And another thing was like, I don't remember much about like toilets because I know right now they have public toilets which you pay to use. But you see now moving into an estate, you're not so used to seeing like toilets or like toilet seats. So you're so used to like either a pit latrine or a dad toilet. So those were like some of the differences you could you could see in that. Then also another thing that perhaps also I noticed that was different. So I had cousins who used to live in Woodley. So Woodley and Kibera are just divided by the railway. And when you used to go to visit, right now, obviously, right now, I'm like, okay, they weren't as rich as I thought they were. But you see, like when you live in a slum and when you go to Woodley, so there was so much you'd see. Oh, these guys, they didn't share a room because us we lived in one room. Them they didn't share rooms. They had separate rooms. They had a bedroom for the parents, for the children. So I think those are some of the things that I noticed that were different in my growing up. That perhaps we didn't have in the slums. Yeah.